For decades, we've been trying to connect our minds to machines, and honestly, we've been getting it all wrong. It's like we've been forcing our thoughts through this tiny, tiny digital keyhole, and in the process, we lose everything that makes them, well, human. So today, we're going to look at a totally new way of thinking about this, a new architecture for brain-computer interfaces that promises something absolutely revolutionary, what's being called true agency augmentation. Let's dive in and see how this thing actually works. Okay, so here's the fundamental problem. It's called the analog to digital bottleneck. Just think about it. On one side, you've got your mind. It's this beautiful, messy, parallel thing, right? Thoughts happening all at once. But on the other side, you've got machine code. It's rigid, it's serial, it's one step at a time. The brain interfaces we have now, they're basically just fancy typewriters. They take our incredibly rich internal world and just flatten it into this sterile, boring stream of ones and zeros. And yeah, this really hits the nail on the head. We're talking about forcing our minds to speak a completely foreign language. And it's not just a slow translation, it's a destructive one. It literally strips away all the context, the emotion, the essence of a thought. So we're not really augmenting ourselves, are we? We're just chopping up our own agency into these little lifeless digital packets. The big question is, how do we build a real bridge instead of just another bottleneck? Right, so we need a totally new language, or, you know what, even better, no translator at all. This is where the Neurophotonic Agency, or NPA architecture, comes in. It just starts by completely throwing out that digital middleman, and it introduces this really brilliant first idea, a biological lock and key system. It's called the chemo-optical gate. Okay, get this. What's so wild about this design is that the whole system is dark by default. What does that mean? It means it's physically disconnected. It's just sitting there, not listening. I mean, your brain is an incredibly noisy electrical place, right? It's like a cocktail party with a million conversations happening at once. This design makes the implant completely immune to all that background noise. It only listens when you truly, genuinely intend to speak. So how does it know you actually mean it? Well, it's this beautiful, direct chemical process. It all starts when you have a strong, intentional thought. That releases a flood of a neurotransmitter called glutamate. There's an enzyme right on the device's surface that grabs that glutamate and instantly turns it into hydrogen peroxide. Yep, that stuff. And that peroxide is the key. It dopes this special perovskite layer, flipping it from an insulator to a conductor, and bam, the gate just swings open. It's amazing. Only a real, genuine thought can create this very specific chemical password. And look, I know what you're thinking. Safety, right? You can't just stick any old material inside the brain. And that's a crucial detail here. The whole system is designed from the ground up to be safe. It uses a specific type of lead-free tin perovskite. Why does that matter? Because it is way less neurotoxic than the traditional lead-based stuff you see in a lot of other high-tech electronics. Okay, so the gate is open. Your intentional thought is now a signal. But where does it go? This is where the NPA architecture gets, well, truly radical. We're about to look at the processing core, and I'm telling you, it is not a computer in any way you would recognize. So forget about CPUs. This is what's called a crystalline library. It's this tiny solid block of polymer, only about 2 cubic millimeters, and inside it has this incredibly complex structure that's been 3D printed. Now, when the light from your neural signal enters this thing, it doesn't run code, there's no software, the physics of light itself does the calculation. As photons just pass through this crystal, the answer is created. So, how fast is that? The answer is almost meaningless, it's so fast. We're talking about 10 femtoseconds. To give you some perspective, that is literally the amount of time it takes for a photon of light to get from one side of that tiny crystal to the other. This is computation happening at the absolute physical speed limit. There's no way to go faster. And think about what that means for an implant. It's a total game changer. Because the calculation is just passive physics. It's just light bending through a structure that's already been built. It consumes absolutely zero computational energy. And that means it produces zero heat. That's so critical when you're talking about something inside the brain. But wait, it gets even more elegant. Because different colors of light, different wavelengths, bend in different ways, you can actually run hundreds of different neural networks inside that same little crystal, all at the same time, with zero interference. So just like you see here, you could have one color for private memory, another one for motor control, and a third for sensory feedback, all happening at once, all passively. All right, let's recap. We have an intent. It's been computed at the speed of light. We have an answer. Now, how in the world do you get that answer back into the brain so it feels natural? So it doesn't just feel like a weird notification buzzing inside your head. The answer is this incredibly elegant process called aphaptic coupling. Now, instead of just zapping a neuron with a jolt of electricity, which is pretty crude, this method generates a tiny local electric field. And this field just gently influences the neuron, kind of nudging it without ever physically touching it. It's the difference between a whisper and a shout. And the way this is possible is just a brilliant piece of engineering. The entire device is sealed in this super, super thin layer. We're talking 50 nanometers of what's basically glass. They call it the glass skin, and it does two things. First, it's a chemical firewall, protecting your brain from the implant and the implant from your brain. But second, it also acts as a perfect microscopic capacitor, and that's exactly what you need for this safe contactless stimulation to work. And the result of all this is the crucial part, because this feedback loop bypasses all your normal senses and talks directly to your brain. Your brain doesn't see it as outside information. It's perceived as an endogenous insight. That's a fancy way of saying it feels like a thought, a feeling, a realization that came from you. So the user does not think their prosthetic hand is touching something. They feel it. That is a profound difference. Okay, so now that we have the core system down, we can start to see where this is all going. Let's talk about the NPX expansion. This is what happens when you use a tiny fiber optic cable to connect this internal coprocessor to the outside world. And wow, the implications here are just huge. Something like a prosthetic limb stops being a tool that you control, and it starts to feel like a synthetic organ, a part of you. You get what's called true proprioceptive integration. You can feel where it is in space without looking. And it even opens the door to some pretty wild possibilities, like direct implant-to-implant communication. Of course, this immediately brings up the ultimate security question, doesn't it? I mean, if you're connecting your brain to a network, could someone hack it? Could someone hijack your thoughts? Could they pull off what the source material chillingly calls inception? Well, the defense isn't some digital firewall, it's a physical lock built into the hardware. Remember that chemo optical gate from the very beginning? The device is, by its very nature, an insulator. It's switched off. It cannot receive a signal unless and until your brain provides that specific chemical password of glutamate. It's a biological handshake. No intent from you means no connection, period. And this analogy just perfectly sums up the new security paradigm. Think of a traditional BCI like a computer that's always plugged into the wall. A hacker might be able to find a way to wake it up and send it a signal. The NPA, on the other hand, is like a computer that is completely unplugged from the wall. And the only thing in the universe that can plug it in is your own deliberate biological act of will. So, what we're looking at here is a technology that moves us way beyond just interfacing with machines. This is about a future of true cognitive extension. And that leaves us with a really fascinating and maybe even a little unsettling final question to think about. When your mind extends beyond your body, where do you truly end?